Finding your purpose through the face of adversity. Today, we sit down with Daniel Ritchie, author and motivational speaker who found his purpose through God and his struggles.
Where I am in life, I'm a daddy to two kiddos, 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. I'm a husband to Heather, and then I guess my day job is I travel the country and speak. It's a pretty jam-packed life, but man, I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So something that really stood out to me, your birth story.
Yeah.
Can you get into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So, I was born without arms, and the wild thing in that, like, the doctors never caught my disability in utero. I had 2 ultrasounds. Mom had a healthy pregnancy, and so I think the expectation was I was going to be a healthy baby boy, and so, it was a pretty big shock when I came into the world as this armless kid. And then on top of everything else, I wasn't breathing, I wasn't moving. The doctor tried to find a pulse and couldn't find a pulse, and so he just really quickly asked my dad if they just wanted to let me go. But man, super grateful that Dad didn't hesitate or wait. He was just like, man, you're going to do whatever it is that you can do to try to bring him back. And so, the doctors were able to revive me, and it was a wild start to this whole journey that God's given me, that's for sure.
And I saw something that you said that, the physical struggle, the physical war was preparing you for the mental and the spiritual war.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, riding with your feet or eating a cheeseburger with your feet is not the easiest thing to do in the world. And so I think that strain and that stress was just like the small picture of what it was like to deal with just being different. Having people look at me and stare at me and say, I think, rude things. And so, that was my greatest struggle. And it probably still is my greatest struggle, is just dealing with being so incredibly different. I think it prepared me for, I think, that mental and emotional struggle that was to come. But I think, to your point, that was my greatest struggle, and I mean, still continues to be.
So a big part of your speaking is you are a God-fearing man.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the Christ lock-in moment that you had when you were younger?
Yeah, so I mean, man, my life changed at a youth group dodgeball lock-in. I didn't see God's love present in my life, I think, because of my circumstances, because of my disability. And so I just thought, well, man, God doesn't love me because, God didn't give me arms. And so this youth pastor sits with me this night in the chaos of a gym, and he just explains, like, God's love to me from Scripture, that, God made me in my mother's womb, like, very fearfully and carefully. I was looking to my circumstances, I think, to define the love of God, but I was missing so much of God's love that was just evident in His promises and His work that was all through the background of my life.
If there is anything this morning that you walk away with, it is to know that there is none of you in here that are too busted up for God to love.
Like knowing that God loved me, that God had a purpose for me, that God was bringing about these things like love and patience and joy, where those never used to be a part of my life. And when I'm sitting here, like, just watching how much God changed my life, I'm going, how could I not? Like, how am I going to be quiet about this? Why would I be selfish with this? I want other people to know this goodness, this hope, this joy. And so, man, from age 16 on, this is what I've been doing. And I think too, just from like a national perspective, I think there's still very much like a pretty big stigma for people with disabilities and just how we're viewed, how we're treated. And so I want to continue to advocate for people like me, people that are paraplegic, those with cognitive needs. I mean, just all over the map. I think for us as a country, we can move the needle forward. I want to try to change that perspective of how the world sees them, but I think also how they see themselves, that they need to know that, man, God made them for a special purpose. They're not defined by their circumstances.
If there is one thing that you could tell, 10-year-old Daniel now, what would it be?
I'd be telling 10-year-old Daniel, like, buckle up, because there's a lot of hard stuff ahead, but there's a lot of incredible opportunities to speak into the lives of others.
To find out where you can go and watch Daniel speak, visit his website, danielritchie.com.
You can also find him on Twitter at Daniel Ritchie.